Hey guys, Dotarian here. I haven't done any card game content on my channel in a while, so today I'm here with a Marvel Snap deck highlight. In terms of Marvel Snap, I've actually only been playing since the season of Zabu, which just means that it's only been a couple of months since I've started playing this game. Within that time, I've actually managed to hit around 2500 collection level. And also, I've actually only recently hit Infinite rank as well. I'm the type of player who likes to play really fun decks and also not really play too much into the meta too much as well. So today I actually want to showcase a few different decks I use to hit infinite rank. The deck that I'll be featuring today is a Destroyer deck. So this is my ongoing Destroyer deck. I'll also leave a link in the description below to this particular deck as well. Note, these are the cards I'm using. Obviously, you can swap out certain cards if you don't like them in the deck, or if you think it's better to replace it with a different card. Now, the reason why I'm playing a Destroyer deck is because I've always been really interested in the Destroyer card. Ever since I saw the Destroyer card the first time I played against him, I've actually always wanted to play him because I found the interactions around this card and the other cards in the deck around Destroyer really fascinating. So here's my deck with a bunch of different synergies. This deck focuses on locking down certain lanes and pushing power around to different lanes. And in doing so, you can sneak out cubes. First off, we have Antman in the deck. Antman's just a very solid one-drop. You can see his ongoing power is if you have 3 other cards in a certain location, he gets +3 power. So he'll be a 1/4 power card. And because he's an ongoing card, he can also get buffed by Spectrum. Spectrum is also in our deck as well. And Spectrum is a 6 power. On reveal, give your ongoing cards +2 power. So currently in the deck, we actually have 8 ongoing cards, and so Spectrum will be really powerful to buff those cards at the end of the game. Now, usually with Antman, I'll actually play him on turn 1 if I have it, and then I'll follow up with Armor to protect him from being killmongered or destroyed in any way. The reason why I play Antman quite early and not later is because usually later in the game, because we have a whole range of different types of cards, we actually won't have much opportunity to play Antman later on. So usually I'll just drop him as quick as I can. And I'll also drop him in the lanes that I think we will be prioritizing to get the power into. Because with this particular deck, we're actually not going to be playing across all 3 lanes. We're going to try and focus on 2 lanes at a time. Next card in the deck is Daredevil. I think Daredevil is quite an underrated card. Just knowing what your opponent is going to do on turn 5 is really useful. And there's also a lot of mind games associated around this card as well. As you keep playing the game, you'll start to recognize what types of decks people are playing. And having Daredevil in your deck just solidifies that knowledge even more. It helps you learn the game as well, because you can see what type of cards people will be playing on the turn and play around it or play accordingly. If people start to try and play around your Daredevil, at the very least you can put your opponent in a situation where they might make a suboptimal play, because they might not play anything on turn 5, or they might play a different card on turn 5 to try and trick you, and that might not be working in their strategy or might not be in their favor. So next card here in the deck is Armor. Armor is necessary for this deck to stop your Destroyer from destroying your cards, and it protects your locations as well. Armor is just also a solid ongoing card. So 2 cost, 3 power, and cards at the location can't be destroyed. It protects cards like Antman from being destroyed. It protects cards like Warpath, who will be a 9 power, from getting Shang-Chi'd. Obviously, you can protect your Destroyer as well if you play your Armor in there, stop him from getting Shang-Chi'd, and so on. And the other use for Armor is that because there's a lot of destroy decks in this meta, playing armor in certain locations will also stop the opponent from destroying their cards. That might be optimal to their strategy as well. So that's really good. So we have Colossus in our deck as well. Colossus obviously fits very naturally into a destroyer deck. His ongoing power is that he can't be destroyed, moved, or have its power reduced. So he's immune to debuffs. This is a solid ongoing card. But just bear in mind that playing Colossus kind of tells the opponent that you're playing a destroy deck. So normally I actually tend to hold on to Colossus and not play him if I can. Because we have a lot of ongoing cards, people might think we're actually playing an ongoing deck instead of a destroy deck. But remember, this is a hybrid build of an ongoing destroyer with focus on destroyer and locking down lanes. That's the whole point of this deck. Cosmo is another tech card, just like Armor. So Armor and Cosmo are really good tech cards that we put into the deck. I think Armor and Cosmo are among the strongest cards in the game. By strongest, I mean that they're just so versatile that they can be put into almost any deck. And the reason why I think they're so strong is because of how many on-reveal cards are in the game currently. And also how many people like to play Destroy or certain cards that revolve around on reveals or being destroyed. So Cosmo works really well in this deck, obviously, because we have so many ongoing cards and not too many on-reveal cards. We actually only have 3 on-reveal cards: Destroyer, Spectrum, and we have Spider-Man as well. 2 of them obviously benefit negatively, so Spider-Man being played into a Cosmo location won't trigger the on-reveal, neither will Spectrum. With Destroyer, Cosmo actually sometimes works in your favor because you won't destroy the other lanes. Next we have Mr. Fantastic, another great ongoing card, simply because he provides a lot of value. At the very least, if you play him in the left or right lane, he's going to provide 4 power, which is a normal card. And then if you play him in the middle, he's going to provide 6 power because he's going to reach out to the adjacent locations and add 2 power to those locations. So at the very least, he's a 3/6. Now the next 2 cards I'm going to talk about is Spider-Man and Professor X. I'm actually going to talk about them together because this is an infamous combo. These 2 cards just allow you to completely shut down a certain location. Professor X especially because obviously you can't add cards to this location, you just completely shut that location down. Cards can't be added or removed. Pretty much you play Spider-Man on 4, stop people from adding cards to that location, and then you'll add Professor X and just completely shut it down. That will win you one lane completely. And so if you telegraph a particular game and you know you're going to play Spider-Man on 4 and then Professor X on that lane on 5, you know you can win that lane pretty much 99% of the time. And then you just focus your first 3 turns and your last turn on the other lanes to win one particular lane or win across 2 lanes. Even if you lose in your Professor X lane, we actually have other cards to buff that lane as well. So we obviously have Mr. Fantastic. We have Klaw, which can reach around to our right side. So you can play him on the left lane or the middle lane. That will help you get power across into your Professor X lane if you're losing that lane. And finally, you have Spectrum to buff Professor X as well. So essentially, you might just have 2 cards in the lane, in one particular lane, which will be Professor X and Spider-Man. And if you're losing, you can buff it with Spectrum, Klaw, and Mr. Fantastic. That's essentially adding an extra 10 power without playing any cards into that lane. So you'll have, up to 16 power just based on those few cards. The other obviously infamous combo is Daredevil and Professor X. You play Daredevil on turn 2, and then on turn 5 you get to see what the opponent's doing with the Professor X. You just pop him down into a lane that isn't contested or you can win very easily. And obviously, because you have other cards like Mr. Fantastic and Klaw, you can reach around and get that extra power if you need to as well. Another useful thing about Daredevil and Spider-Man and these three particular cards is that you can help block off certain locations, obviously, as I've mentioned, but mainly at Infinite rank, I've noticed a lot of people playing Galactus, and so being able to just completely shut down a location or being able to see when certain cards are placed when they play Galactus is really useful. On turns, I've had turns where people have had one particular lane open, and I just play Professor X into that open lane, and then they just concede straight away because that open lane was made for Galactus. Then we have Warpath. Warpath is perfect for this particular deck. I feel that Warpath is actually a very underrated card, but in this particular deck, Warpath is exactly the card we need because we will almost always have one lane free, and this card isn't ongoing as well. So because we're playing him with our condition always in effect, him alone will provide 9 power, and you play that into the armor lane, or you'll play it into another free lane, guaranteeing 9 power. And if you play it into your armor lane, he'll be protected by Shang-Chi as well. Finally, we have our 6-drops Spectrum and Destroyer. Now, in terms of Spectrum, I've actually found that Spectrum isn't always the card that you want to be playing. You'll be playing her less than you should because you have Destroyer. Destroyer is just so strong. He's the second strongest base card, and we've basically built this deck to mitigate his downside. So obviously Destroyer works really well. If you can't play Destroyer, then we do have the Spectrum to play. But I do feel Spectrum, you can maybe swap it in and out with a different card. I've just found Spectrum works really well to kind of push your locked down lanes to have a buff. But she herself, you won't find her playing her very often. Now, other notable cards that you might want to consider playing, obviously you have like your standard cards. You have like Arrow, She-Hulk, Magneto. Those are like your high-powered cards, simply because they just have a really good ability and a really good stat line as well. Other cards that I think you can consider using is Juggernaut. Juggernaut's really good because you're able to see ahead of your opponent's turn. You can play Juggernaut into that lane and push them out of that lane. Juggernaut's a really nice card to have. Killmonger is just really good for destroying a lot of the opponent's 1-cost cards. Because we only have one card, and usually Antman is going to be protected by armor, Killmonger's not a bad card to have. The only downside, obviously, is if you've set up your armor and they play into that lane, Killmonger won't affect those particular cards. Now we'll look at some particular scenarios showcasing how this particular deck plays out.
Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man here.
Wind, aid my hand.
Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man here.
Wakanda forever! Wakanda forever! Victory!
Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man here. neighborhood Spider-Man here.
I am Iron Man.
Victory.
If you found this video helpful, please drop me a like and comment down below. As always, have an awesome day and bye for now.